Pride 2020 is a rebellion. This video celebrates Pride but does not turn a blind eye to all the awful things happening to the world and community. Especially to the people of color LGBTQA+ members who are suffering this month despite them being who we have to thank for Pride in the first place. Please visit the informational links in the description below to see how you can help LGBTQA+ people of color and Filipinos. Happy Pride to everyone who is part of or supports the LGBTQA+ community. In honor of this month, I really wanted to bring you guys a video tutorial on how to do a character from the community. So I decided that it would be Double Trouble from She-Ra, the Princess of Power. Double Trouble is a non-binary shape-shifting creature, like me, and I instantly fell in love with them, and I'm so excited to show you how I do their transformation. Alright, now that I've shapeshifted back into my human form, we can get started on this transformation. Unlike most cosplay transformations, I start by taking care of the hair and wig first. Double Trouble has a very distinct hairstyle. They have shaved sides, a mohawk, a very long one, and a very prominent widow's peak. I always have my hair styled in an undercut, so if you have an undercut, this is a great video for you to watch on how to do Double Trouble's hair. If you don't want to shave the sides of your head, you don't have to. There are other amazing Double Trouble cosplayers who've magically styled their wigs to really look like they've had shaved sides. I, however, do have an undercut, so I'll be showing you how I work with this hairstyle. First thing I do is I grab all of the long pieces of my hair, so everything in the center. I section off the front part of my hair and split them into two, and ponytail those into two little pigtails. Then I start gathering hair behind that. So with the ponytail still from the front, I'll bring that over to the back, and then I'll tie those together with the loose hair over there. And basically I'm gonna be doing this along the entire parts of my head. The reason why you have to prep your hair like this before putting on the wig is because I can't put a wig cap on with this look. So I'm basically creating a base where the wig can attach to, because the wig that I styled has some clips underneath that I can hook into the hair. If there are any pieces of hair that are still partying up into the sky, just put them together and ponytail them away. You should end up with something like this. I use spirit gum to attach this wig. Spirit gum is an adhesive that's safe for your skin. I can also recommend Prozaid, but spirit gum was all I had during this time. As you can see, I am applying the spirit gum way past my natural hairline. That's because the wig that I styled has a widow's peak to mimic Double Trouble's widow's peak. So I need to basically stick down that fake widow's peak that I made, which is why I'm painting a little triangle of adhesive right at the center of my forehead. Make sure to use a generous amount and tap on it afterwards. It's just so you know that it's sticky and it's to activate it. Now this is the wig that I have. As you can see, those are the clips that I talked about. And just as an extra measure, I like putting spirit gum on the lace as well. Just like the spirit gum that we applied on the skin, make sure to use a generous amount on the lace as well. Then give them a few taps just to make sure it's sticky and tacky and ready to be placed on your head. So this is how I put on the wig. I just make sure that I pin those clips in, one in the back and then two in the side. Then I start sticking down the lace onto that fake hairline that I made. If you find that you need more spirit gum to glue on the sides, go ahead, just grab that little sucker and put them on the skin or the wig or both, and then stick them down after. Don't forget to pat in between, of course, to make sure that both sides are tacky. Once you've got the hairline secured, I like to make sure that the wig is firmly on my head, so I grab some bobby pins and I start sticking them on the sides of the hair. Just make sure to cram the bobby pin underneath the hair so that it's hidden. Now before we move on to the next step, I put on my contacts. So unfortunately, I made this during the quarantine, which meant that I had not had a haircut nor bleached my hair in a very long time. But I still wanted to make this during Pride Month, so this is another method that I did to instantly blonde my hair. I honestly don't super recommend this because it doesn't look that great. But if you're in a pinch like I was, this is a way to do it. I'm just using white body paint, then slowly adding a little bit of yellow. With their hair out of the way, it's time to move on to their skin tone. So Double Trouble's skin is a very specific shade of green. It's a light green that's quite pale and cool toned. I personally could not find the exact color on like an existing body paint for this, so what I did was I mixed green body paint with some white that I already owned, and this is what worked for me. The most important thing with the first layer of body paint is to make sure that you really cover all the areas of your face. So make sure you get all the nooks and crannies, and when going into the hairline, make sure you're going as close as possible onto the lace. I actually like to pat it a little bit on the lace as well, just so that it's really blended into my forehead. It isn't so important that this first layer is completely opaque. In fact, I like to work in thinner layers because I find that if you apply a really thick coat of body paint, like one opaque coat of body paint for your skin, it's gonna look really cakey and it's gonna look pretty fake. Like it doesn't register as, oh, that's your skin. So I like to work in really thin layers. And as you can see, you can kind of still see my skin popping through some areas, and that's okay because we'll be going into a second pass of the body paint after this one. So before adding the second layer, I like to make sure everything is dry, and then I will go in with that second layer of body paint. The reason why it's important that the first layer of body paint is painted all over your skin and making sure that you've covered every area is because when you're applying the second layer of body paint, I like to work as fast as possible. You know, when you're even painting in general, like watercolor for example, if you painted this one area and then you go to another area and then you kind of overlap those two areas together, you can see that one part is darker than the other where they meet usually. So I like to try and avoid that by working as fast as I can with that second layer. To finish off the body painting process, I like to fix any problem areas, any areas where the paint just didn't stick or any areas that I need to fix up. I grab a sponge and I put a bit of body paint onto that and I very gently pat the product onto my face. If you pat too hard, you can actually take away the body paint that's already on your face. So you have to be very careful and very, very gentle. Also, please do not use a sponge or a beauty blender that is specifically like for your foundation. Try and keep a separate one for body paint. Of course, we can't forget Double Trouble's ears. So I grabbed these flesh-toned elf ears. I use them for a lot of my cosplays, which is why I am painting them with body paint only. For another costume, Jester, I actually have permanently blue painted ears for her. But for Double Trouble, I don't cosplay them as often, so I decided to just paint these using the body paint that I already have to make sure that they match completely. In the future, I hope to get another pair that will specifically just be for Double Trouble, but for now, this is what I'm gonna do. And it works for me, so that's alright. Now that we have the skin painted on, it's time to move on to other details of the face. I like to start with the eyebrows just so that I have a marker to where the contour will go later. Double Trouble's eyebrows are very short. They're basically little triangles on the side of their face. So I just paint that on and I make sure, as always, to use little strokes to make the illusion of little hairs. Now we can move on to contouring. Contouring is such an important step when it comes to body paint because body paint can really remove and flatten all of the contours of your face. So we gotta use eyeshadows and even body paint to put them back. In this case, I'm just using very pigmented green eyeshadows to shape my nose and eye socket area first. Double Trouble's design is very reptilian, from the slitted eyes to the green skin, as well as their tail, and of course the shape of their face. So what I like to do with the contour is focus on making a very slim pointed nose, very angular eyes that we'll get into more when we do the eyes, and very sharply contoured cheekbones, jaw, and a really thin tapered chin. Don't forget to also put some contour on the sides of your temples, near the hairline, and by your chin. So what you can see me doing here is I lined my jaw and then I'm kind of putting it in the sides of my chin just so it looks even thinner. And the last thing that we're gonna contour is actually the lips. Double Trouble's mouth is very wide, so what I like to do is get the contour shades and put them at the corners of my lips to elongate them. And then to blend it all together, I make sure to add that same darkness underneath the bottom lip as well as the inside parts of the lip. We'll go back into the lips more later, but for now, this is what we can do. It is finally time to move on to the eyes. So here I am using a even darker shade than the contour for the eye shape. I'm basically creating an upwards triangle. Don't forget to blend out the edges, of course, so it doesn't just look like you painted a triangle on, but it would rather create that fake eyeline shape. Don't worry, with the eyeliner it'll look a lot better. I also like to make sure that I put this in the lower lash line and define that inner corner. Now, to really define the eyes, I use black eyeshadow on the corner of my eye as well as the bottom lash line. For the bottom lash line, like usual, I'm using this as eyeliner instead. I extend the inner corner of my eyes downward just so that we can create that reptilian kind of eye shape. As usual, you have to be very careful with black, so work slowly. I also put this in the inner corner of my eye, again to elongate it downwards. To match the eyeshadow liner that we did on the lower lash line, I am using gel liner to line my upper lash line. I'm doing a very simple, just cat eye, very straight, no flicking upwards. And just so you know, I like using gel liner for body paint because it doesn't drag on the paint. And then for the last step with the eyes, I like to put white in my waterline just to make my eyes look a little bigger. And of course, I curled my lashes and put on some mascara. No falsies for this cosplay. It is time for my favorite step in makeup in general, highlighting. Like I always say, it is so important not to just contour but highlight afterwards to really balance out the look and create an even stronger contrast. As you can see, I am putting it in the usual spots for contouring: cheekbones, chin, tip of your nose, nose bridge. But I am also putting it on the center of my forehead as well as my cheeks in a triangular shape. This is to create that shape into having a very thin and long face. And finally, it's time to define the lips more. So here I am just using some green eyeshadow since I don't have any green lipstick. And there you have it. This is my Double Trouble makeup transformation. Let me put on my costume and everything else and I'll be right back. Here is the final look for my Double Trouble transformation. If you like this video, I hope that you can subscribe to my channel and maybe give it a like. I am so happy to finally do a video on Double Trouble because they mean so much to me. I am so thankful that there is non-binary representation in media like this. So if you haven't seen She-Ra, please do. It's streaming on Netflix, so you can watch it. You can binge the entire 5 seasons, and it's worth it. It's worth it, guys. Thank you so much, and thanks for accepting little old me.